So there are ecologists that focus on population ecology and ecologists that focus on community ecology. Population ecologists are going to study how populations, individual species, change over time. And here's just a simple example of some population data. Here we have the number of individuals, here we have time, and we see three different species changing over time. And when you look at a population, there's three possibilities. Their population can be growing, they can be stable, or they can be declining. And I wanted to show you this particular graph because this is what real biological data looks like. We don't get perfect straight lines, but I think you could agree that most of these populations overall would be considered to be declining. But you can also see that it's very important that you get data from multiple years, because if you were looking at this population, say between these 2 years, you would think, oh, this population is on a steep increase, and if you look from here to here, you would think this population is a steep decrease. So it's important to look at the longest possible term data you can. So what determines how big or small a population is? It's a balancing act between the biotic potential of a species and the limiting factors or environmental resistance. The biotic potential is the maximum number of offspring a particular species can have in ideal conditions. A fruit fly, if she had all the food and habitat she needed, could have 2 million babies. A human could theoretically have up to 30, 35 babies in their lifetime. Now this is the biotic potential. This is an ideal number, not an actual real number. And the reason you don't reach that real number is because of these limiting factors. Disease, drought, competition, water, predators, food, human activities, all of these things will keep species from reaching their biotic potential. This is a population versus time graph that's used by population ecologists to show how populations grow. And so we've got two different kinds of growth. The first kind is exponential growth, and that's referred to as the J-shaped curve. That's when populations are doubling every generation, and the growth gets very, very rapid very quickly. There are no limiting factors, and so the population will double every generation. This is the kind of growth you see with bacteria in petri dishes where there are no limiting factors at all. More realistic in nature is something called logistic growth, or the S-shaped growth curve. And here, initially, biotic potential is pushing the population to grow very quickly. But then environmental resistance starts to push down on that biotic potential, and it starts to slow population growth until it evens out and you have a steady population size. The place at which you reach that steady population size is called the carrying capacity. And that's the maximum number of individuals that can be regularly sustained in a particular environment. So as I mentioned, we draw these nice smooth curves, but in reality, natural systems don't act exactly like this. And what we will more typically see is this kind of overshoot, dieback kind of oscillation around a carrying capacity. And this is because as a species reaches its carrying capacity, that species doesn't know it's about to run out of food or nest sites. And so its population goes high and you have a dieback. Number of individuals die off, but again, they don't know they've reached the optimal population size for that area, and so more individuals die off. But now there's a little bit of extra food available, so they have more babies, and then there's a die-off, and you start to get this oscillation. And the carrying capacity is the average of these oscillations. The carrying capacity is an interesting concept to apply to human populations. Here we have that same graph where we have time, and then over here we have number of individuals. And we're seeing that human populations stayed below 1 billion for a really long time. but right now we're above 7 billion individuals. And the question is, what is the carrying capacity for our planet? And the short answer is that we don't know. There's some people who think we are maybe slowing down a little bit and that the carrying capacity will be somewhere in this 10 to 12 billion range. Other people think we're on a dangerous overshoot, and you saw from the previous graph what follows an overshoot is a crash. And then the third philosophy is that we will continue to develop technologies that will allow the carrying capacity to change. An important concept is that carrying capacities are not set. As the environment changes, carrying capacities can go up or down as well. So just for reference, this is the current world population, and I am recording this on August 17th, 2015 at 12:56 p.m. So you can compare this number to what you could get online right now. If you go to www.census.gov/popclock, you will get to this website and you'll be able to see how much the population has increased since I recorded this lecture. It's mesmerizing and a little bit overwhelming to just watch these numbers tick by. This is based on a mathematical model that includes the deaths and births, and so this is the net increase of people on the planet as we watch it. While human population growth can seem a little bit overwhelming, this is an interesting video from a fellow optimist thinking about how human populations have changed over the last 100 years and what the direction is that we're heading.